Well, hello everybody. Man, what a weird year this is going to turn out to be. So that's why I started off question number one or statement number one with the word wow. We're just in times that you just got to do your best, and we'll trudge through it together. So let me kind of run through some plans for this semester coming up for you. I've emailed you out our plans for the rest of the school year. I'll also send out weekly emails with the plans and the due dates. I will also attach to those any worksheets that are due, any worksheets that you can use as class examples. They can also be found in our Canvas page under assignments, so you can also get them there. I'll work with you on the due dates as long as there's been communication, but guys, we have about 5 weeks of schooling is all we really have, so try to keep up with the due dates, and then everything ought to work out pretty good for you. The rest of our semester will be a combination of videos. There'll be about 6 of them all total, guys. Canvas quizzes as assignments. We have not used Canvas yet, so that'll be new for you in my class, but I'm sure you used it in other classes. And then I'll also quiz you via Canvas quizzes. Now, this ought to be a good setup for you guys. Our quizzes will now be open notes. So I've also set any quizzes as assignments. I've set those up to where you could do those 2, 3, 4, 5 times to make sure that you understand the material, to make sure that you get 100% on that assignment. So ought to help you out there. And then, like I said, quizzes will be open notes. My goal is to do 2 lessons per week. Only 1 lesson this first week, since it's just a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll review the laws of exponents for the first few days and quiz over that. Then we'll do a sequence and series unit. It's been a unit that my students have traditionally done extremely well on, so that's how I want to end it. I've got videos for it. I've got the worksheets for it. We ought to have everything set up pretty good. My plans today, though, I'm going to review those exponents rules with you that we were doing 2 weeks ago. I'll review those with you today. If you can print off the class examples, please do so, then just follow along. If you can't print them off, that's okay. Just on any piece of paper, take some notes, pause the videos, write them down. Remember, guys, you get to use your notes on our upcoming quizzes, so it'd be foolish on your part not to take notes. You can find today's notes in Canvas under the Chapter 10, Sequences and Series. This will be the chapter that we're in, Chapter 10, Sequences and Series. Now, I've put the couple of videos in there for exponents in there, but that way you have one place to find everything. And then, like I said, I will also email you this information as we go. I plan on having optional Zoom conferences. I'll send you email invites for those. And guys, the purpose of the Zoom conferences, if you are having questions on anything, that'll give us a little bit of time for me to answer questions. So guys, if you've got your class example sheet in front of you, follow along. If not, guys, feel free to pause the video, write down the class examples so that you have them. But here's where I'd like to go with you. My video here should take about 12-13 minutes from this point on, so hang in there. Exponent rules that we were doing a couple of weeks ago before spring break and before we canceled school. Remember, guys, when you multiply things with the same bases, you add those exponents. So if we had a squared times a to the 4th, you would add those and get a to the 6th. Remember, if it's a power to another power, you multiply those powers. A quick example would be x squared to the 3rd. You'd multiply that and get x to the 6th. You got to be careful there, though. If it was 2x to the 3rd, I would need to take 2 to the 3rd, x to the 9th, and 2 to the 3rd is 8, x to the 9th. The other rule that we had is when you divide, remember you subtract those exponents. So x to the 5th over x to the squared becomes x to the 5 minus 2. So that really becomes x cubed. Now, remember, if you get a negative exponent, though, you put that in the basement. You put that in the denominator. So if we went x to the 7th over x to the 10th, our rule says subtract those exponents and get 7 minus 10. Well, that becomes negative 3. We get rid of that by putting that in the denominator. So here goes your first your first few. Like I said, guys, if you need, go ahead and pause the video, write those down. For those of you that were able to print them off, nice. So here goes. I'm going to take 3a cubed b to the 4th times 5a squared b to the 5th. It's a multiplication, so 3 times 5 is 15. And then remember, you add those exponents in this case. So I'm going to have a to the 5th, b to the 9th. There's no negative exponent, so that's my answer. We'll move on. My number 2, 3a cubed b to the 4th squared. Our rule is if it's a power to the power, you multiply those powers. So power-wise, I'm going to get a to the 9th, b to the 8th. The number out front is 3 squared, which happens to be 9. So there's that solution. My number 3 is another multiplication. Multiplication, we add those powers again. So negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. I want you to notice I did not put that in the denominator. It's a negative number, does not have a negative exponent. 2 plus negative 8 is negative 6. Since we said negative, I'm going to come to the basement, the denominator, with a to the 6th. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. So there's your answer to number 3. My next little group, my number 4, is a division statement. So let's simplify 25 over 30 first. That would simplify to be 5, 6, because 5 goes into both of them. Now our rule is we subtract these exponents. So 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So I'm going to have an a to the 1st in the top. 2 minus 1 for the b's is a positive 1, so I'm going to have a b. 7 minus 4 is 3, so I'm going to have a c to the 3rd. And then I'm done with that problem. My number 5, just like it, let's reduce 12 28ths. Looks like 4 goes into both of those, so that reduces to 3/7. For the a's, I need to go 3 minus negative 2, which becomes positive 5, so I got an a to the 5th. For the b's, I'm going to go 2 minus 7. Let's clean that up just a little bit for you. I'm going to go 2 minus 7, which is negative 5. Oops, we said negative, so let's place that in the denominator. And then for the c's, let's go negative 7 minus 4 is negative 11. So let's put c to the 11th in the bottom. Notice no negative exponents, no multiple a, b's, or c. Number 6 is back to a power, but we got to be careful here. Let's take care of this 3 to the negative 2nd first. That's the same thing as 1 over 3 squared. So 3 squared is 9, so I have a 9 in the denominator. That negative exponent placed it in the denominator. Now negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6, so I got an a to the 6th on top. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, so I've got a b to the 8th in the denominator. So there's that next little group there, guys. Here's our 7, 8, and 9. You can pause the video and write them down if you need. Number 7, negative 5 to the 3rd, is a negative number, but it does not have a negative exponent. So I've got negative 125, not in the denominator. Our rule is power to the power, multiply those powers. 3 times 3 is positive 9, so I got an a to the 9th. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. We said negative, so let's place that in the denominator. 3 times 3 is 9, so that's in the numerator. My number 8 is another division statement. The bases are an a. The bases are both a's, so let's go negative 8 minus 11 and get negative 19. So my answer, 1 over a to the 19th. Now number 9, notice that they're all x's. We need to simplify as much as we can. So I'm going to simplify the numerator first. X to the 5th times x to the negative 8th. I'm going to add those exponents and get negative 3. And I have that over x to the 3rd. Well, the base is still the same. It's an x, so now I need to subtract these exponents. Negative 3 minus negative 3 is negative 6. So ending answer, 1 over x to the 6th. The next little section I wanted to review with you guys was adding or subtracting polynomials. Remember, on those, you just go find your like terms. Now, we're going to rewrite them and get rid of any minuses. So when I look at my number 10, 3x squared minus 9x plus 11 plus 7x squared plus 7x plus 20, since my main operation here is an addition statement, I can ignore all the parentheses. I can think of this as 3x squared minus 9x plus 11 plus 7x squared plus 7x minus 20. Notice that none of the signs change because of that plus sign. It's like I distributed a 1. Now let's just go combine like terms. 3x squared plus 7x squared is 10x squared. Negative 9 and positive 7 is negative 2x. 11 and negative 20 make negative 9. So there's that answer. 10x squared minus 2x minus 9. Now, be careful when there's a subtraction sign, though. The way we're going to handle this is we're going to distribute that negative 1 in front of there. So this really becomes 3x squared minus 9x plus 11. Now let's distribute that negative sign. Let's distribute a negative 1. So I've got minus 7x squared minus 7x plus 20. Notice that all of these signs changed. Now let's just go combine like terms. 3x squared and negative 7x squared make negative 4x squared. Negative 9 plus negative 7 make negative 16x. And 11 and 20 make 31. Now guys, as we go throughout the rest of the semester, take your time, write these down on a piece of paper, and watch your little errors. My number 12, same thing, there's an addition sign, so I don't need any fancy work to do. Let's combine that negative 1x squared and positive 7x squared y and get 6x squared y. Here's a negative 12xy and a 7xy. So I've got negative 5xy. And then here's an 11 and a negative 20, which makes negative 9. Now guys, while I'm here though, I am going to mention, if we had something like 3x squared plus 9 plus 5x minus 11, be careful how you put your like terms together. There's no other 3x squared, so that stays as 3x squared. The only x term is that guy, so he doesn't get to combine. The only thing that does combine would be that positive 9 and negative 11 to give us a negative 2. So be careful there. And then guys, the last few things I wanted to review with you is just synthetic division. Remember synthetic division? You guys recognized it as soon as I said upside down division sign. So the way number 13 is going to look, I'm going to take 2x squared plus 8x minus 11 and divide it by x plus 3. Remember the key moment here though, guys? We got to take the opposite of that x plus 3. I've got to take x plus 3 and set it equal to 0 technically. But I get a negative 3. So the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. That goes out to the left. And then we have our upside down division sign with enough room for 2 rows. Remember in the top row, the coefficients of your trinomial. So I've got a 2, an 8, and a negative 11. Now, peek back real fast though. Make sure you're not missing any terms. There's the squared term, so I got the coefficient of a 2. There is an x term, and there is an 11 term. What do I mean by, are we missing anything? Peek down here at number 15 real fast. Notice that I have a 4th degree, and then it drops down to a 2nd degree. I got to make sure I account for that 3rd degree here in a minute. But back to number 13. And then remember, synthetic division is just a step. Step number 1, drop that number. And then I'm going to go -3 times 2 is -6. And then we add 8 and -6 and get +2. -3 times -3 times 2 is -6. Add and get -17. So this answer, I started with a squared, so come down 1 to an x. My answer is 2x plus 2 with the remainder of -17. So there's my solution to that one. I started with the squared, you come down 1 exponent and get that. My number 14, we're going to divide it by a -2, so out to the left here is a +2. Before I go write down my exponents, my coefficients, let's make sure we're not missing any terms. I see a 3rd degree, a 2nd degree, a 1st degree, and a negative. So there's that. So we got 1, -6, 4, and a -3. And then here goes our steps. Let's drop that 1. Boy, my pen wants to mess up. Let's drop that 1. And then let's go 2 times 1 is 2. Add and get -4. 2 times -4 is -8. Add and get -4. 2 times -4 is -8. Add and get -11. And then my ending answer, I started with a 3rd degree, so let's drop that to a squared. Here's my answer. 1x squared minus 4x minus 4, remainder -11. So there's the solution to that one. And then my one last one, we're dividing by x minus 1, so let's put a +1 out there. Let's list your coefficients, but make sure we're not missing anything. I've got a 4th degree, so I'm going to put a 2. I don't have a 3rd degree, so I need a 0. My 2nd degree is a 8. My 1st degree is a -5, and my constant is a 19. I'll remind you about this also. Since this is a 4th degree polynomial, I should see 5 numbers when I look here. And I do now. So now let's go get the math of it. Drop the 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Let's add and get a 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Let's add and get a 10. 1 times 10 is 10. Let's add and get a 5. 1 times 5 is 5. Let's add and get 24. My answer, I started with a 4th degree, so I need to come down to a 3rd degree. So I now got 2x cubed plus 2x squared plus 10x plus 5, remainder of 24. And guys, that's our synthetic division. Now, assignment-wise, what you have is, I'm going to write up here in the top right-hand corner, our assignment is the worksheet. The worksheet will have been emailed to you, and it's also in Canvas. Now, in Canvas, I am also going to post my answers. Please do not just go in there and copy my answers down. Make sure that you understand the work. And then guys, as soon as you get that worksheet done, if you will, take a picture of it and email it to me. You will know if I received that or not because it'll be in PowerSchool. Now, if you see an NHI in PowerSchool, that means I've got some assignments turned in, but I have not received yours yet. So things can happen in email. So if I don't see it, make sure you get a picture of it and send in to me. So guys, that's our day 1. Now, I have multiple days to get this done. You can watch this video Wednesday or Thursday. You have through Sunday to get this done, so should be an easy start. So good luck to you, and we shall see you.